So this is our gym. So I appreciate them opening up their doors. I like the way we have that intimate setting. You know, we're close and get a chance to look in each other's faces. First, before I get started, I want to introduce all those who, the groups, the organizations that make this possible. First of all, for the Brotherhood, if you would stand up, remember, we got a Brotherhood right there. Stand up for me, pal. Okay. We got Bro with our tribe. Anybody here with our tribe? Stand up if you with our tribe. All right. We got Tina James with Safe in the Six. Anybody with Safe in the Six? Yeah. We got Mama. Anybody in here with Mama? You want to stand? We also got Derek Lane of Love and Leadership, nonprofit, Souls of Sycamore Juneteenth, and also M66 Graphics and Media. Standing over there. Give it up for him. He provided all the refreshments for us. And the reason why I want to do that because if we all standing, man, I want all of us in our organization to give you, the candidates, a big hand for doing what you're doing as well. Because we couldn't have this without you guys. We thank y'all so much for running, putting y'all name on the line. It takes so much to do that. And we thank you so much for being here again and doing what you do for our communities, in our community. So I don't want to, which one? Okay, sure. You want to? Okay. All right. Without any, I want to give Doc if they wanted to say something real quick. Y'all want to say anything real quick? Have everybody met the owners of the Doc Bookshop? We got Donna. We got Donna. We got Danya, and we got Mama Craddock back there. So we make sure we support them whenever we come in. Make sure you support the Doc. Like I said, this is our golden nugget. Our only black bookstore left, so we got to make sure.
We just want to get started because there's a lot going on in the community.
Okay.
So we need some answers.
There we go. Let's go. Let's get it. We're gonna without any further ado, we're gonna welcome the moderator, Bro Brumfield.
We could have everyone for City Council on stage, please. City Council. If we don't have enough chairs, we'll definitely make it up. Just City Council.
I think we're good. We're good. Check.
Yeah. What you need? Right here.
Check. 1, 2.
Yes. And for those of y'all that we do not have the veteran portion, I called you.
Check.
All good. So, in other words, if anyone needs to come in and consider these seats up here, we're going to rotate them so we don't take up much of the space out here and keep the candidates rotating back and forth from the stage. That's okay with everyone? So everyone is comfortable and not fun. Right?
Thank you.
I need a picture. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I can see the picture thing happening.
Are you good?
We need one more cheer for. Thank y'all so much for bearing with us as we get everything together. We're really excited that all y'all decided to come out today. Y'all can participate and be a part of what's happening in your community. Have your voices heard and be heard as we change and move forward for change throughout our District 5 and 6 and 8, 11, Again, we just want to say thank y'all for actually coming out to be a part of what's going on in your city. Our capital is District 5, stop 6, but that's just my statement, okay? Happening. All ready?
Alrighty. Alrighty, good.
Okay, I might turn this cordless mic
It
off.
just- it just flow.
You're just too close, guys.
Move that up.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Ro Brumfield. I'm your co-moderator I'm your co-moderator for today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and thank the candidates for taking the time out of your busy schedule. It means a lot for you to come, for the community to see, to take time out of your schedule to come and talk to us, so we appreciate that. First up, I didn't get a list of everybody that's on the council, so what I would like for everyone to do is to go ahead and take about a minute to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
We starting in, whoever has the mic close.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Johnson. I am running for City Council District 11.
Hi, my name is Barry Kelleher, and I'm running for District 5, City Council.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for coming out. My name is Jason Baldwin, and I'm running for City Council District 3. My campaign is focused on working people, a livable wage, and things that make Fort Worth more enjoyable too, like our parks, sidewalks, and roads.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Peoples, and I'm running for City Council District 5. I know many of you in this room, and I am focused on fighting to make District 5 the best city council district in the city.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Daryl Davis. I'm running for Fort Worth City Council District 6. And I'm running because it's time for us to do things differently. We are running a campaign that is positively powered by the people and for the people. We want to focus on 3 particular things. Number 1, safer communities, making sure that the residents throughout District 6 feel safe in the communities in which they live. We also want to focus on smart development. Our city is growing, but there is a way that we need to grow that is most advantageous for the people who live here and call Fort Worth home. And then last but certainly not least, we also want to make sure that there is more money than there is month. We want to focus on economic stability for families here in Fort Worth. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, good evening. My name is Michael Rollerson. I'm running for City Council in District 9 in Fort Worth. With my campaign, I'd like to focus on working class issues, including expanding, making Fort Worth more affordable and increasing living wages for many people in Fort Worth. And it's for District 9.
Good evening, I'm Jeanette Martinez and I'm running for re-election Fort Worth City Council District 11. I am running to continue the great work that I have done thus far in my first term, continuing to make our community safer, bring more affordable housing to District 11, and also improve the quality of life by making sure that we invest in our infrastructure that has for a long time been ignored on the east side and south side of Fort Worth.
Good evening. My name is Arthur McCoy Jr. I'm a candidate for City Council District 8. By product, I am from the east side of town, so I pretty much I'm a District 5 kid. But I've actually been living in District 8 since 2019. My family has actually been in that 1208 Stella Street since 1952. I'm very vested in the community. I own some property in Hillside Park, and I just see, from what I've been seeing in District 8 is that a lot of promises have been made. A lot of things have not happened, and I think the people in District 8 need to start fact checking. You really need to start fact checking what the incumbent is saying about different things. So I'm here to bring total transparent, and feel free to call me, reach me by email. But again, my name is Arthur McCoy, and I'm a candidate for City Council District 8.
Hello, how everybody doing this evening? My name is Kenneth Barnes Jr. I'm part of the East Side, been in the East Side since 2001. currently running for District 5. It's a pleasure and honor to run for the seat. Being invested in my community for years. Speaking at City Council since the age of 14, so I'm very, very passionate about this. It's time to bring equity and inclusion, real equity and inclusion to District 5 across the board. Not just certain areas of District 5, but across the board. Each area that really not really focusing on, but it's time to bring, like I said, it's time to bring real equity and inclusion. That's one of my goals, to bring equity and inclusion to District 5 across the board. That's my main reason for it.
Good evening. Happy spring. My name is Marvin Jose Diaz. That's the name on my birth certificate. I am a first-generation American. My parents came from Nicaragua. I spoke to Angelico this afternoon, and he called me Mr. Marvin. That took me back to my DJ days in college when I was Mr. Marvin on the radio, Angelico.
All right, all right.
But my little brother keeps on insisting to call me Marvin the Martian. He keeps sending me these silly Marvin the Martian dolls. So just remember that when you go pull the lever on May 3rd. I am new to this. I am a veteran of private industry. I have never run for public office before, although I've done some public speaking in my past life. I've really been a numbers guy, a finance guy for many, many years. But in the last 5 years, I would say that I've developed a more keen sense of community service. For the last 4 years, I was a loan officer. I was retired, had nothing to do. COVID struck. And so I thought I'll go do something good for the people with COVID and the SBA, United States SBA. And I was a loan officer doing loans for folks that were burned out in California, folks that were hit by hurricanes in Southwest Louisiana and in Florida. So we were the relief guys for the people focusing on the COVID, the business loans, and then we moved over to COVID. But you know, when you're on the phone talking with folks that have been left homeless, you know, that kind of hits home, and you develop a good sense of reaching out and helping to your fellow Americans. So I think that drove me a lot to why I'm here. I think I have a lot of experiences in private life that I can be a good balance to the mayor and also make sure that District 5 leaves no money on the table. So I am running for District 5. Am I done? I'm done, they say. Okay, your turn.
And you can have Marvin back.
Hi, everyone. My name is Peyton Jackson. For those who don't know me, I have 6 main policies for City Council. I'm running for District 8. You can find them all at www.notaxandwithjackson.com. But my 3 main things are decreasing taxes, improving our education system, and resolving our homeless problem. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. We have several questions. The questions are going to be directed to either individual person, the district as a whole, or the county as a whole. And each candidate is given a minute to speak on the question. If the moderators think they can go far enough, or you have to make favor. One of the reasons I wanted this job is because I wanted to make sure that we do a lot of debates. Candidates will ask the question they want to answer. They answer the question they want to answer. But the public doesn't want to speak about that. They want to talk about this. No, we don't want to do that tonight. We want to answer the questions that directly ask you to do that question.
All right, so that's gonna be the first question, and we're gonna start from, I guess, your left to the right. Each one of you have a minute to answer each question. You will help my timekeeper say time, when your time is up. So try to think really clearly how you wanna answer these questions. You ready? All right. What are you gonna do different in our city if you are elected as city council?
One of the things that I will work on, the open records request. We have public information that they're making residents fill out a form to request public information. So one of the things I would work on is eliminating that. As a citizen, that's our information and we should have access to it, number one. Two, be more transparent. Like one of the candidates mentioned, you as voters, you need to start fact checking. Anybody can say something, but it needs to be backed up. So I'm for more transparency in making things where the residents have more accessible to things. So transparency.
Mine would be transparency. Also, I served, serving my 8th year on the Tarrant Regional Water District Board. That was one of the most corrupt agencies in this area, and it took 11 years, but I got it cleaned up. Got new general manager. We went from no transparency to 6 stars from the state comptroller's office for transparency. And I'd like to say that I'd also bring common sense to city council.
When I go out and block off with people and they open the door, they say, Jason, Mr. Ballman, what are you gonna do differently? That's a great question. And I'll tell you what I'm gonna do differently is put you first. I'm gonna make sure that we're protecting our neighborhoods, that we're not, as a city, spending a lot of time trying to develop out west and southwest and annex more land. We're gonna put our people first. We're gonna protect our neighborhoods, make our sidewalks better, make our roads smoother, improve our parks. Put you first.
So mine is gonna be accessibility and engagement. I spend every day walking for about 2 hours every day, and I hear people say, you are the first politician that's knocked on my door. You're the first person that's cared about an issue. And so I believe if you're gonna represent the district, you have to know the district. You have to be involved in the district. You have to be engaged in what is going on in the district. So I promise, many of you know me. I run for mayor, I lost, and I never went away. I'm gonna stay involved, engaged. Your issues are my issues, your problems are my problems.
So doing things differently is the motto of our campaign. One of the things that is interesting about me is I ran for Fort Worth City Council District 6 back in 2019. And I did so to combat what we know as the Fort Worth way. And my mantra back then was a better way, because I believe that doing things differently here in the city of Fort Worth means that we have to be accountable to the people that elected us to serve. One of the things that we have a history of doing here in the city as it pertains to our elected officials is they give us what they want us to take. And so many times we have advocated for things from a community standpoint, but then we get some watered down version of what it is we were very clear about in our demands. And so I want to make sure that we are actually delivering on the things that the community is asking for us to do. Secondly, just like Ms. Peoples, I think that it's vitally important that we have elected representatives who are accessible. So one of the unique things that we're going to do in District 6 is you're going to have councilmen on your corner.
So what would I do differently? As the District 11 council member currently in seat, I am very accessible. I go into the community and host events in the community. So something that I would do different is, and we kind of did it for our town hall, we created a survey to reach out to folks and see what they want to hear about. And so we'll be creating another survey for the District 11 constituents to tell us what type of events they'd like to see. Something that we haven't done is a health fair. We're going to be partnering with Carter Riverside High School and providing a health fair. It's going to be a district-wide health fair, but we're going to be providing it at the school. And so I'd like to also work more closely with the schools in this upcoming term.
I believe something I can do different as next elected District 5 councilman is more engagement. I think we lack more engagement in the community. So if I gotta create a community task force, I'm gonna do that. So that's the best way to do that. More engagement, and I believe lack of communication with our council members, but it's more engagement. That's the only way we can do it. More engagement.
Well, I guess in District 8, and not only in Tarrant County. You know, somebody asked me why are you running for this? Why are you in this race? Well, I'm in this race because 47% of Tarrant County is in illiteracy. That's over half the population. That's why I'm in this race. I'm in this race because there's an issue with homeless in District 8. There's also an issue in District 8 that people are not aware of. It's called eminent domain. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody wants to bring that up. But when you ask me why I'm running to actually help the community in the school and these kids to get back on a reading track of where they need to be. So when I brought up fact checking, I think the community needs to stay off Facebook, stay off Instagram, and go to certain places and in fact check, please.
Could you do us a huge favor when you finish speaking? Could you remind the crowd what your name and what district you're representing?
Arthur McCoy District, District 8.
Hey, Michael Rollerson, District 9. I believe what I should do differently is I'm actually going to fight for the people of Fort Worth against the Texas government because I believe a lot of their policies are extremely corrupt. I believe that the right to work laws are disgusting. I believe that they're fighting against union benefits. I also believe that the minimum wage of $7.25 is far too low, and we should actually bring the fight to the Texas government, considering we're one of the largest cities in all of Texas. Additionally, as far as the rent control policies, there's absolutely essentially no tenant protections in the state of Texas, so they're able to charge you whatever you want. I believe that we should take the fight to the Texas government and say that, declare the municipal emergency and say, you are not able to actually charge me 200% after a year my lease expires in my apartment. That happened to me for myself, is I had my lease expire in my apartment after a year and they increased the rent by 20%. I find that disgusting. I believe we should declare an emergency so we can fight back against the Texas government.
Marvin Diaz, District 5. I think one of the important things for me is to make sure that the promises that were made to District 5 people come through. So if we were promised certain level of police force and fire forces and certain capital projects, you know, personally, I've been waiting 3 years for an intersection in my neighborhood to be redeveloped on Trinity and Euless, Maine. So all these things that they promised us and they passed, where are they? So we got to make sure that what we've been promised, we get delivered, and then go make sure we have no other money left on the table for District 5.
So number one, taxes, education, and our homeless issue. So taxes, I would like to see taxes eliminated for native homesteaders first. Education, the fact that China's education system is beating us is very embarrassing. They learn trades in kindergarten. So that's something that I would like to see in the city in our homeless issue. I don't know how many times I have to repeat it, but permanent supportive housing was never the answer and it's not the answer now. Again, my name is Peyton Jackson and I will be unseating Chris Nettles for District 8.
So this is actually a yes or no question. You do say yes or no. What are your thoughts on a citizen review board, and would you agree yes or no to put one in place?
Yes.
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 Do we hear the question again? We couldn't hear it back here.
Citizen Review Board, would you support it?
With subpoena power.
With subpoena power. With subpoena power.
That's a yes for everyone?
So yes.
Wait.
Sopranos over here, Sopranos, we got
No, I didn't say anything yet.
Yes.
So, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can y'all hear me back there?
No.
No? You know what?
I did not thought they
I don't know that that subpoena piece was ever in there initially. So.
Needs to be. That's what the citizens were, the ones that we've been talking to with, because a citizen review board without a subpoena power is just there. If you have subpoena power, it actually make change. That's what the citizens are asking. That's what the basic question is.
So did everyone see that? We have a I guess, somewhat of a citizen review board now, but it does not have subpoena power. We can't, there's not a budget for us to go and to get the, take from the law enforcement or to get the Freedom of Information Act, as the other gentleman was mentioning. So the question to the board was, do you support a citizen review board with subpoena power? We got all yeses and one.
That's still yes.
I don't know that that was a part of it, so I can't.
It's the
answer.
question
Let's
now.
try the question again, ask that same question now.
This is the question now. As of right now, do you support a citizen review board with subpoena power?
Yes or no?
I could.
No, yes or no?
So we'll start again, yes or no?
Mine's most definitely yes.
Yes.
Mary?
Heck, yes.
Yes.
Yes, citizens want transparency and they need that.
Yes.
So are you a yes or straddle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
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 Okay, great to hear.
Yes. Okay, so here's the next question. For those who don't know, we have a lot of issues with human sex trafficking in the city of Fort Worth, and a lot of it has been happening over in District 5. Safe in the Six is one of the component that actually puts together a walk every year against human sex trafficking and mental health. What would you do to support and or prevent any sexual trafficking in your community, in your district? We'll start with you, Ms. Peoples.
So this is a major issue among young women of color. And if we don't get our hands around it, I mean, the city has not talked about it a lot. I love what you are doing in Safe in the Six because I think we need to get involved from the criminal aspect and start arresting people, but we also need to provide services to these young women and young men. You all don't understand, but there are a lot of young men that are trafficked also. We need to set up a safety net for them and provide them the counseling and the resources that they need to succeed in life. And so it's a major issue with me, and I have participated in many forums about this, but it is something that I would be Zone A focused on because we've got to stop our young Black, brown children from being trafficked. I'm sorry.
To your right.
Oh, to the right, okay. Oh, no, wait.
There's one.
Do you want us to all answer this question one by one? Okay. Public safety is very important to me, and that is very important to this campaign and everybody in my district and across this whole city. That is no question. And human trafficking at the rates that are happening here in Fort Worth is despicable. It's disappointing, and it should be top of mind for the city council and all of the law enforcement officials that we have to collaborate with. But it's not just about law enforcement. It's also about working with nonprofits and others who study this issue and can give us really good solutions, but we have to ask for those solutions. This is a time for us to put it front and center and really do something. It is really, really disappointing to hear and to witness these rates of human trafficking happening in our city.
Mary Kelleher, District 5. I've been working for Tarrant County Juvenile Services in one capacity or another for over 30 years now. And the trafficking issue is incredible in our area. It's disgraceful. I'm aware of only one agency that really helps the girls and the boys who are being trafficked, and it's not enough. We need a lot more resources and attention put to this subject.
I'm very familiar with the human trafficking issue. I also have my cosmetology instructor's license. They made it part of our training, but we would have to get renewal on our license. They would, there are several agencies where you're gonna come in contact with people. You gotta look at signs where they have kids, where they're trying to wink or give you a signal that they're in danger. So again, I am part and I'm familiar with that, so I would expand and have a board and also go to the schools to educate the kids. A lot of kids don't know they're texting, they think they're meeting a friend at the mall, and it's a sex trafficker on the other end, and because they're secretly meeting them, they're not telling their mom. So it goes back to educating the kids and I would create a board for that. So I'm all for that.
Woo! Behind you. Jason. Your sticker is on that wire. You're going on with everybody.
So I have a few solutions. Number one is increasing police funding. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but there was a random or viral video of Fort Worth PD actually in the middle of a bus at a hotel. Yes, and I didn't know it was Fort Worth until recently, but that made me cry. And it's so bad. But additionally, what I would like to do is go into the schools and educate them on, what's going on, and, just give them that general education on, okay, it's not safe to meet people without your parents' permission, and just keep them safe the best that we can.
Again, Marvin Diaz, District 5. I guess I wasn't aware, how severe the issue is in our district, but I got to tell you, having spent a lot of time in airports and flying overseas, there are signs everywhere about trafficking in the bathrooms, and even flight attendants will make announcements. But if there's so much trafficking still going on, we need to raise awareness about the people who actually supply the trafficking and fast track them through the courts and right to jail. I don't think there's any other solution apart from raising the awareness and posting signs on all the telephone poles. This is a deep-rooted problem, not just here but in Dallas and the other large cities in Texas. So we need to get better on the detention part and fast tracking them through the courts.
I would say it's absolutely disgusting how much human trafficking there is in our area. And I believe a great way to combat that is having the police actually going and focusing on the actual violent criminals. I think we should stop focusing on the non-violent criminals. I think we should stop prosecuting people for just having marijuana on them. I think that's ridiculous. When we have stuff like this going on in our city, we should not be putting resources towards people for prosecuting people for having a joint. You should be prosecuting people that are trying to kidnap people and sell them to other countries, obviously.
So I think so I think the number one issue, I'm back at the literacy rate. I'm back at the literacy rate. Here we are. We're back at the literacy rate here in Tarrant County. I do agree with Peyton when she says we as far as police funding, we do need more police funding. But I seriously, every candidate up here, and even the incumbents, like, we really have to push the literacy rate in Tarrant County, because that's the number one deal. I mean, otherwise, if we don't push it as a community, and we don't push this envelope, we'll continue to have these talks. We'll continue to have these talks, continue to have these talks, and continue to have these talks.
I believe the only way we could address this issue or attack it head on is allocate more funding towards policing our neighborhoods, also allocating more funding towards our nonprofit organizations like Safe and Sick. So that's the only way it's possible to address the issues, allocate more funding towards resources. And that's the best way to handle it. Address it head on.
Of course, the city needs to provide funding to address human trafficking, but we as a community also need to work with our parents, work with our students. As a mother of a 14-year-old, it absolutely terrifies me for her to even have a cell phone, for her to go to the mall by herself. So I do my part in monitoring her phone. And so, I know a lot of parents don't want to do that, but we absolutely have to. We have to work alongside with our Fort Worth ISD Board of Trustees, our charter representatives also, because we do have a lot of charter schools in District 11, District 8, District 5. And so just work in partnership with everybody, with all the stakeholders, and of course, continue to provide funding for those organizations that we already exist.
Daryl Davis, Fort Worth City Council, District 6. I think number one, I echo the sentiments of those who feel like it's important for us to do proper education. But I don't believe that it's a literacy issue. I believe that it is it's a lack of understanding of what grooming looks like and how individuals are groomed to enter into sex trafficking. So I think we do have to start young by exposing what those tendencies are, that those who will victimize young men and women understand what those grooming techniques begin to look like. I also think that we have to engage the community because if you oftentimes people say, well, I never knew that was happening right here in my neighborhood. But then when you really begin to drill down on it, there were certain signs. And so I think engaging the community, being able to educate even the community about what human sex trafficking looks like, I think that will then help us expose it so that we can eradicate it.
Just so you all know, Fort Worth is part of the triangle. It's Fort Worth, Dallas, Houston. And these kids are trafficked from Fort Worth to Dallas, down to Houston and back. So there's this triangle here, and we need to be aware of that because we are a big stop in the whole trafficking issue.
A part of that triangle includes every motel on Riverside. I noticed that the other day when I was over there, but I digress.
I absolutely agree. So we're gonna ask, so with trafficking, comes gun violence. And so my question would be, what is your take and what would you do different as it relates to the gun violence that each one of your communities and or districts have? Go ahead, Mary. You're like, you're so ready. Give it to her, y'all.
Once again, working in juvenile services, the amount of gun crime in District 5 is just incredible, and it's unacceptable. These kids are getting guns. Parents aren't looking into their rooms. There's just so much. It's a family issue with not talking with your kids and communicating with your kids about the importance of gun safety. They don't even know about gun safety. I see so many kids come in who have shot themselves because they don't know how to handle a gun correctly. Education and our court does a lot of, if you have a gun, if you're a juvenile in Tarrant County and you have a gun, you're gonna sit in detention for quite a long time. So I think it starts there and until the message gets spread out into the street that it's unacceptable for a child to be handling a gun, carrying one with them.
Jason Ballman for District 3, running for District 3. Look, I mentioned public safety is really important to all of us, and especially myself. Our gun violence issue in Fort Worth is also out of control, like a lot of the topics we're talking about tonight. And I believe that we should be, as a city, implementing gun buyback programs. We should be pushing for stronger background checks because it's absolutely insane. We can do this while still respecting the ability to protect yourself in this country, in this state, in this city. But there is a grave, grave issue, whether it's mental health or just access of children to guns, as you're talking about too over here. It's a multi-pronged issue, and it's going to take some hard conversations, but it's not impossible, and it's not hard to solve.
So first thing I'm gonna tell you is we need to stop blaming our kids for this. It's not their problem. It's these huge corporations that manufacture these guns, and it's organizations like the NRA that go out and promote it. And so our kids are emulating what they see. And so these kids don't have the money to buy these guns. This proliferation of guns that's in our community are done by adults that are pushing our kids toward violence. So number one, we need to go back and look at legislation, not only locally, but at the federal level. And we need to stop patting the NRA on the back and telling them they're doing a good job. So that's number one. Then number two, it's cultural. We need to make our children understand that there is life for them beyond 18 or 19 or 20 years old. Many of these kids don't see themselves getting to 72 years old like me. They see their lives ending shortly. But number one, we need to stop blaming the kids and put the blame where it is, and that's the gun manufacturers.
So I think two things, and again, Daryl Davis, City Council District 6. Two things. I think number one, we have to elevate what it is that we're already doing. Partnership and collaboration, like the 1 Second Collaborative. I think there are resources and there are boots on the ground that are attempting to address this issue on the community level. I think we as a city need to get even more behind that and elevate and increase the resources that are provided for those individuals and nonprofits who are trying to make a difference in our city. That's number one. And number two, I think we also have to deal with the root issue of violence. The root issue of violence is poverty. And so when we began to get serious about economic stability here in the city of Fort Worth and we address the poverty issue, I think that we will also consequentially also address the violence issue. So, but we got to get to the root issue. And again, we got to stop passing the buck and passing the blame. We have to deal with the things that we can control here in our city.
That's good teaching. That's good teaching.
Daryl made some good points. You know, we of course need to work as a community to support the organizations that are already trying to fight gun violence in our youth. Of course, the City of Fort Worth will continue to fund those through CCPD, but also there are nonprofits that, you know, some of us have guns at home, so we need to keep those safe, and these nonprofits provide these lock boxes for free. So communicating and sharing that information with our community, and also encouraging our sheriff department to do more buyback programs for these guns, and so get those off the street, and you know, these individuals can get paid for the guns that they already have. So just working together, but also working with the community to find out what resources and services that they need.
Kendall Warren is just 5. I believe we have to continue to work together with our nonprofit organizations in the community that focus on gun violence. Also create more programs through the city levels, more city funded programs. That's the only way we currently address the issue. And also address the issue by funding more of these other nonprofit organizations not funding through the CPP funding. So that's all we can address some issues. And most of our youth have these guns in the street. So if we create more community funded programs that's funded by the city, I believe we can address some issues.
Oh, well, I think as a city, we need to start investing back in our community centers. I mean, kids have idle time, right? Kids have idle time. So when you have idle time, you know, things happen. I also feel like with this gun issue is that here we are on Meadowbrook Drive. I grew up in this area on Greenwood Stair Road. We have a lack of grocery stores in our community. So if a kid is walking around malnourished, if a kid is walking around hungry, then that kid is frustrated. That kid is mad. So I think we really have to just pour back into our community. You know, as far as the police is concerned, you know, I would see a buyback plan. I know they do a buyback plan in Dallas, but most of all, we have to find a way to take the idle time out of these kids' hands. Arthur McCoy, District 8.
Michael Rollerson. Thanks for the applause already. Well, District 9, first of all, I think we should address regulation. Some obvious ones, for instance, was, so when I actually went to school out here in Fort Worth, what happened to me was there were several kids that actually brought guns to school. Thankfully, nothing actually ever happened, but it shows like a huge issue, which is kids are really, really, really easy for them to actually get these weapons. And I believe that we should actually, first of all, punish the parents if they allow this to happen. They should be held liable. And second of all, I also believe a lot of it comes from economic just uncertainty as a whole. It's been proven time and time and again that when we're more economically unstable, there's much more crime as a whole. So I believe we should invest in social programs, and I believe that we should create a massive Fort Worth jobs program by ending the privatization of public amenities and actually continuing to just publicly fund these projects and provide like amazing jobs for the people of Fort Worth, so these disenfranchised members of our community aren't having to resort to violence.
Oh, not yet. Well, you've heard a lot of good ideas, and clearly this is an 800-pound elephant that we have to attack. And how do you eat an 800-pound elephant? Is one bite at a time. I think one of the things we can start off with is this celebratory gunfire that I've seen a lot about, talked about in City Hall. Because truly, do folks really understand how far a bullet travels at 2,000 feet a second? So if we can build relationship with the kids in the schools and get this message across, and just go one step at a time, and the next step is you realize what are you holding in your hand and where did you get it, and just build awareness, and we eat this 800-pound elephant one bite at a time.
So clearly, I am a supporter of the Second Amendment. But before we can talk about the NRA, we have to at least talk about the music that's within our industry. Because a mandatory buyback program won't stop the illegal guns. And that's a part of what's going on, especially in the city of Fort Worth with these gangs, which start in school. And it goes back to investing more into our school system, but in the right way. Our school system is broken as a whole. It's not just Fort Worth ISD, but just like the incident that happened at the car wash. At what point in time do we stop claiming beef past the age of 20? Because it's embarrassing at this point.
Right. So there was a young lady who wrote a question. I didn't understand her writing. So do you mind my asking the questions, ma'am? You need your. At the same time, we're gonna go ahead and allow current sitting Councilman Mr. Nettles, Councilman Nettles, to come on up to the stage. We have a seat for you, sir. Come on up. You slide your little step right up here. Thank you for joining us today.
My name is Martasia James. I reside in the District 11 area. Our districts are District 5, 11, and 8 are very close together. We see our infrastructure, the ongoing pollution and quality of air, ones that we know when we are in fact leaving the white neighborhoods and entering the blacks. Our residential community are run in, and we are here we hear these grants and the fundings, but we never see it actually come into fruition. If elected, what are your plans for the incumbent when we receive the changes during this term?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what specific changes. Infrastructure?
I'm talking about our infrastructure. We can ride through our neighborhoods, and it's not just the Martin Street area in District 11, but throughout our Stop 6 Echo Heights communities, we see that our infrastructure is terrible. Be it the numbers of potholes, the small roads, the ongoing industrial companies, trucking companies that are coming in and out of the community, and then the ongoing more industrial companies coming into the neighborhood altogether. Because from what I did learn at a previous meeting with a company is that the city shows maps in which they plan to grow industrial companies there in the neighborhoods, and companies are able to bid on the area in which they're wanting and to grow their companies all together. So we have a lot of our homes that are run in, a lot of our streets that are torn up. We hear about these grants and whatnot, but we never see that actually get fixed. We never see these homes being rehabilitated, and we never see anything positive or new coming into our area. But we're able to see what we're leaving the white neighborhoods and entering the predominantly black neighborhoods. The question is, when will we see the changes coming about in our neighborhoods altogether?
Well, as soon as I hear about a road or if somebody reaches out about a home, we connect them with the transportation department or with any program or organization that we think might be able to help. Of course, with the City of Fort Worth, there's the rapid repair program. If I know of an individual, an older individual, or even a young, and we think that our part of the repair program or or even Trinity Habitat for Humanity can come help. We connect them and we help them through the process. If we determine that a road has been overlooked for a long time, I need to know where these roads are so we can start addressing them. Of course, there is roads that are going to be proposed in the 2026 bond. There's also roads from the 22 bond that haven't been repaired that are still on the list. And we believe that there's going to be funding to finish those. But like I tell individuals in the community, I need to know where those issues are. If you're not telling me, I can't fix it. So I need you to work with me to help identify those.
We're gonna give Councilman Nettles an opportunity to answer the same question. You're in District 8, right? Yes. I think that's the question, Ms. James?
It was potholes and seeing our homes in the areas being able to get aid as far as fixing them up. Like we have a lot of communities in the area, and they come and build these newer homes. So it's like we have these older homes that's not matching with these newer homes in our area altogether. We have these elders who are not receiving an adequate education on what funds are available for them to receive renovations on their homes and stuff.
Thank you.
So that's actually for District 5 and 8. 5, 8, and 11. 5, 8, and 11, I'm sorry. That's
5, 8, and 11. That almost sound like a lottery number. Y'all play that tonight. Hey, y'all, it's good to see everybody here tonight. Sorry for my tardiness. I had other events happening. I may be late to the party, but I'm not late to service. I've been serving for the last several years. It's been exciting to serve. And I will tell you that with that question you asked, neighborhood services, the city of Fort Worth offers so many programs for side improvements, for homes, for our seniors and our elders. Neighborhood services offers those developments and those improvements. When it relates to potholes and streets, we have two forms of payment. Number one is our pay-go. That's what we can do right now in our budget. That's what we budget out to fix streets, fix potholes, fix issues in our neighborhoods. The second thing is our bond package. When we have to reconstruct the entire street, put curb and gutters in, sidewalks, then it has to go to our bond package. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, right now we are working on our budget, our bond issue. That's good information that you need to have, but I'll talk to you about that afterwards.
We need the answer from 5.
So I think it's accessibility. Oh, I tell you, I've been out walking. Most of my career has been walking. I see so many violations, trash. People are beautiful homes and elderly residents trying to keep up their neighborhoods. We need to be in the community as an elected official, making sure that things are done. I don't need you, if you see it, call me, but I need to be out there. I probably have seen 30 violations today. And so I write them down. I think as an elected official, we need to be out there making sure that our community, our district looks like we want it to look.
Property values.
Absolutely.
That's
Sorry about that.
My name again is Christopher Johnson. I'm candidate for District 11 City Council. I know exactly what you're talking about. One thing I want to recommend, be part of a neighborhood association if you're not already, is power in numbers. It makes it easier on you to get things done. Also, I have a whole vision for District 11. I grew up in 11 and very little has changed. That's the reason I'm running. So I want to meet with you afterwards so I can share solutions, what you're talking about, and the bond package will help you get what you need.
Mary Kelleher, District 5. I know Fort Worth is developing at such a rapid rate, but we are developing irresponsibly. We develop so much, we don't have the infrastructure in place to maintain the current loads, let alone all this new development. Our infrastructure just can't take it. There's a Fort Worth app that you have on your phone. In my neighborhood, they call me because they know that I'm gonna push whatever problem they're having up the chain to get solved.
So, got a small change right here. So I'm gonna give everyone the opportunity to answer that question, but the time is gonna move to 30 seconds because we have to also get the school board and the mayors up as well. Thank you.
Okay, Jason Ballman running for District 3, which is not District 11, but it shouldn't matter when it comes to issues happening in other districts because I'm going to be on city council having to hear stories like that young woman just told us with her kid and I'm gonna have to vote on things that matter to you too. And when I hear and I see myself throughout this whole city that there are potholes and there are bad, crappy roads and there are problems, it matters to me too. And that's why I'm here tonight. My opponent's not, he's at a fundraiser. So I'm here working for you and I'm listening to you.
I also want to acknowledge Dr. Mia Hall, who just came in as well. Thank you for attending. Could you go ahead and, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to deviate just for a second because I didn't get a spiel from her. Could you tell us the reason that you're running, please? I know that you were late, but I still want to give you that opportunity.
Good evening. I apologize for my tardiness. My name is Dr. Mia Hall, and I'm running for City Council for District 6. I am a 22-year resident of District 6. My husband and I have raised our family in District 6. We are small business owners in District 6. I've served as an educator, I've served as your zoning commissioner, and I've served as a volunteer in the community. I am running because as a trustee on the Crowley IC School Board, I've served there for 10 years. There were goals that I had to improve our schools. I've accomplished those goals, and now I seek to help with the infrastructure, keep our neighborhoods safe, and make a difference in District 6 for our District 6 residents. Thank you.
I would also like to give Councilman Nettles that same opportunity, please.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. My name is Councilman Chris Nettles. I have been representing District 8 since 2021. I want to thank you for the opportunity to represent you. It has been an honor and a privilege of my life to do that. What we have done is accomplished so much, raising the minimum wage for the city of Fort Worth from $14 to $18. We have brought $418 million of investment to District 8. And I know Arthur McCoy did a FOIA request asking for the same information. He received it 2 days ago. And so we have also been able to develop so much information throughout the city of Fort Worth. And I'm here running again to continue the work that we're doing. And I want today to ask my District 8 opponents, Peyton Jackson, Arthur McCoy, if they will support me in this next election to run for re-office. Thank you.
All righty. We have 2 more questions for the city council, and then we're going to ask for our mayor candidates to come up. And yeah, we're going to, if you could kind of answer these kind of reduced, but the first question, what do you think about House Bill 32 and how is it going to affect your district?
Can you give us a little bit more detail on what's House Bill 32?
We sure can. Hold on.
Thank you.
Yeah, House Bill, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I'm loud anyway. But anyway, House Bill 32 is dealing with evictions. They actually had a hearing today where they're trying to change the eviction laws, where as opposed to taking 30 days to evict people, they going for 5 days, for less than a week. And you don't have the opportunity to go to trial. And so my question, because this is dealing with, we having a homelessness problem, I want to know how many of y'all up there have actually talked with somebody that's homeless? Y'all done talk with homeless? Well, y'all talking to one right now, you know, and as Roosevelt said, nobody cares about what you know until they know that you care. And so I'm finding that y'all, so many people have this idea that people are homeless because they're on drugs. Everybody's homeless because they're on drugs or they have mental issues. But do y'all know that's not the only reason people are homeless? Do you know I became, huh? Oh, well, so that's the question for House Bill. Yeah, no, because they're not understanding the homeless. See, no, not because see what's happening is what's happening is, do you know that the in the senior apartments and stuff?
Ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Hey,
We understand, but we just trying to move it on. We understand.
No, I got
No disrespect.
Because what I'm trying to tell
Let's
y'all,
go.
I done typed it out, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Because I
Thank you so
keep
much.
trying to talk about this homeless and nobody's listening to me. And I've been homeless, yeah.
Thank you.
As a person who lives in apartments right now, I believe last year we had over 40,000 evictions in Fort Worth, so that's a big issue for me. Make sure rental rights are addressed. It's a big issue. So I'm for that. So rental rights gotta be protected no matter what. I'm gonna advocate for that no matter what, if elected or not elected.
I think that's gonna be very detrimental for families and anybody that lives in any rental home. And so what I will do on my part is reach out to state representatives to advocate to fight against this bill.
So I actually work with the homeless community every single day. I run a social enterprise called Upspire, which provides employment opportunities for those individuals who are currently or formerly or on the verge of homelessness. So I have 212 individuals that I work with every single day. And I advocate for them by making sure that they have a place to work, but we also do all that we can to make sure that that we get them off the street, out of the shelters, into permanent housing, because contrary to popular belief, permanent housing does work.
So I grew up in a community, a working class community, where they used to say we're all two paychecks away from being homeless. We need to understand that Fort Worth is a blue collar city, a working class city, and we need to make sure that tenants' rights are being protected and we're taking care of our folks, because homelessness is just going to continue to rise with what we're seeing on a national level. And I'm willing to fight to make sure that we eradicate homelessness. I'm sorry. I'm taking.
The last thing landlords need is more power.
Yeah.
Hey, look, renters in this city make up, in my district alone, more than 56% of residents are renters. A couple weeks ago, a renters' rights group in my district reached out to me, and they wanted to know, will you support us? I said, absolutely. I went and spoke, and I listened to them, and I talked to them and helped give them solutions for how they can deal with a lot of the issues that they're facing in their complex. And I'm going back again this weekend to talk to more people in that complex and others.
Inflation is so high, homelessness could happen to just about any of us at any time. So I would be a staunch fighter against HB 32.
I would support you any way that I can. It goes back to the state representative. If you got a heart problem, you're not going to go to the dentist. You go to the originator, because what's going to happen, they're going to have more laws to counteract. So you send it to them, let them know we're not going to stand for it. And if I'm elected, I'll stand by you.
We need y'all to be our voice.
Yes, I will definitely be.
Y'all can talk, y'all can
Christopher
talk.
Johnson, District 11.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. To Deborah's point, we are, most of us are 2 paychecks away from being unhoused ourselves. And so it is an opportunity for us to grab hands and lobby with our legislators at the state level. It's also an opportunity for us to work locally here with our JPs to look out how they're managing evictions and things of that nature. But I definitely would be against HB 32. And I think that we need to explore viable options that we've seen nationwide on protecting our unhoused, such as Haven for Hope in San Antonio. There are a lot of options out here, a lot of solutions. Other urban cities are doing it.
Can y'all take one of them? I broke it down. We're gonna give it to them. Okay.
So I definitely wouldn't support that bill, even though I am a landlord myself and I've had a few payments missed. But while we need to be educated on renters' rights, we also need to partner with our state officials like Nicole and Raymond, which I've tried to do through my incumbent. But again, that was yet another failure. But 2 of the things that I would like to see changed in District 8 is the fact that our HUD, they don't come out and test promote, which is another problem in District 8, but also our elder community, they don't have much protection, whether that's at JP or above. Thank you.
Simple answer, no to House Bill 32.
Michael Rollinson, District 9. Obviously, I would say no to that. I think that's the same thing that they continue to do, which is put profit over people. So they're ignoring the rights of tenants and just trying to go in favor of landlords. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier, where I'm saying we should bring the fight to the Texas government. As one of the largest cities in all of Texas, I mean, I believe like we're the 4th largest one in Texas. So we're a huge city, so we have a lot of power. So we should bring that fight to the Texas government.
I have been working day in and day out to end homelessness. We have built over 3,000 rooftops in the District 8, affordable rooftop, attainable rooftops, and that's how you end homelessness. The second thing is working with our Tarrant County Homeless Coalition and with our state ledge. And I will tell you this, we have been doing it on city council level. We have to have the mayor's support and the entire city council. It's not just a Fort Worth effort. It's Tarrant County, it's Arlington, it's Grand Prairie, it's all the surrounding locations because Dallas has been sending homeless people from Dallas to Fort Worth for the last 10 years. I heard the time, baby girl. Thank you. And so thank you for that.
So I'm in favor of that bill. I have an issue. We've had a renter in Carver Heights during COVID. She wasn't able to pay for her rent. I mean, we had some issues, but at the end of the day, we let that tenant stay in. So I'm totally in favor of that. You know, there's 41% of renters in District 8. So I'm totally in favor. But we also need to be talking about a certain sector of District 8 that the question is when are they going to start come knocking on those doors and taking property because of eminent domain?
Thank you. Last question. What would you consider as the biggest failure of the current city council and why? 30 seconds.
I'll go first. Jason Ballman for District 3. The biggest failure is continuing to focus on luxury developments and retail in our neighborhoods now and sprawling out west. That raises our tax values. That puts the emphasis away from working people like you and me. I'm a renter, by the way, so I deeply care about this bill you brought up, man. And I am just disappointed to see that council agendas don't have anything that really worries about the living wage in Fort Worth, that really worries about protecting our neighborhoods. That's the biggest failure.
Too much development without adequate infrastructure.
I, as a resident of 11, I still don't know what the plans are for District 11. So that's the reason I'm running, to let everyone know what the plan and the vision is.
I really wouldn't say that that there's a huge failure of our city council. I believe as an elected official myself, I know that we face challenges every day, some foreseen and some unforeseen. I think that to become cynical about government is unfortunate for us as a people. It's an opportunity for us to engage. It's an opportunity for us to run office. It's an opportunity for us as a community to come together and make change. And that's why I'm running for District 6, to be that voice and be that advocate for my community.
Outside of housing, outside of taxes, outside of education, outside of code compliance, I think the biggest failure of our city council is allowing this man to run for re-election. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. It's facts though. I know.
Okay, so I think there's a long laundry list of challenges that we have in the city, like any other city. It's all a matter of priorities. I think from my own point of view, as I read every day, big corporations moving into Fort Worth, you know, after we give them all these tax breaks, are we really sure that they are supporting the community? You know, Siemens just moved in. Siemens is talking about $850 million investment in Fort Worth. What else are they doing for the city? Because we're gonna have to provide them services, city services, police services. Are we really getting these people to invest in our communities?
Michael Rollerson, District 9. I believe what we should do differently is in the privatization that's going on in Fort Worth. I think it's insane that we still have, up until recently, the private ambulances. That's something that most major cities don't do at all. And I believe what the privatization actually does is it helps these like incredibly wealthy people become even wealthier, while at the same time making conditions worse and worse for working class families in Fort Worth.
I am Councilman Chris Nettles, and again, it's been a pleasure to honor and serve you. I'm going to continue to serve you the next 2 years, no matter popular belief. Actually, popular belief will let me get reelected. I think the biggest failure is community involvement. We don't know what we're doing at City Hall. Some of us don't know that we have lowered the tax rate 3 consecutive years in a row. Some of us don't know that we have 7 grocery stores between Sylvania to Crowley Road. Some of us don't know what exactly we do every single day. But what I do is represent the community. I am your man downtown. I am your community activist, and I will continue to do the work no matter who cares. I am Chris Nettles. We'll support you again. Thank you.
Vote Nettles.
Well, I think it's been a lack of transparency. I applaud Chris and I applaud the fan base, but at the end of the day, Chris says, well, there's been 320 million jobs, economic jobs brought to District 8. Chris has also said that he's brought 1,500 jobs to District 8. But when I asked Robert Stern, I sent an email to Robert Stern and said how many of those jobs came to people within District 8. They don't keep that data. So again, while we're applauding, let's start fact checking facts.
So for me, it's gunshots, discharging firearms within the city of Fort Worth, not just during 4th of July, not just during New Year's. I hear gunshots every night. We do have gunshot detectors, but that technology hasn't been fine-tuned. And I'm really pushing for Fort Worth PD to start enforcing that, start investigating where those are coming from, because and creating awareness and education. We have a lot of new people that come to our city. There's language barriers. We need to educate those individuals as well.
I believe we lack in the transparency and engagement with the community. That's one of my goals, is make sure we have better transparency and better engagement with the community. And I believe that's the only way we can fix the issues that are going on in District 5.
Again, my name is Daryl Davis. I'm running for Fort Worth City Council District 6. I would say historically, and I'm speaking big picture, painting with a broad brush, that I think the biggest failure of our locally elected government is a failure to listen to the voice of the people. As I said in the beginning, I think we have made our voices heard. We have cried aloud, and we have said the things that we want to see in our city, but unfortunately, our elected officials tend to give us a watered-down version of what it is that we asked for.
So I think the biggest thing is electing the right representative for your district. We have some districts that people are customer centric and resident focused, and some districts where they never get out. I told you, I've been walking and I have go up to people's door and they say, we have not seen a representative from District 5 in years. I mean, we've got to be accessible, transparent, and available.
Thank you so much. There are some other questions that we didn't get a chance to answer. So what we're going to do afterwards, we're going to email each candidate a list of questions and give you an opportunity to return it, and we'll post it on the website. So thank you. We're going to ask that the mayor candidates get ready to come up while the city council comes out.
While y'all are exiting, please make sure that you come and get one of these packets, please. She has it.
Ma'am.
He's gonna give them out.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all not understanding.
Again, we thank you for your patience and your time as we transition from city council over to the mayor forum. We appreciate you coming out and listening and asking questions and getting involved and getting involved. Thank you to all the council members that actually came out and sat on the panel and answered questions as well. We hope that you sit down and hear what's going on with the mayors as well. Thank you.
Wait. What a man with my paper.
Quickly, people, quickly.
Yeah.
If you're running for mayor, please make your way to the stage. If you're running for mayor, please make your way to the stage. Well, we're gonna give it to them afterwards, ma'am. They're gonna get one. We promise. We promise. Okay. Ma'am, give us a second. We're gonna make sure they get it. Thank you. As we go ahead and take our seats and be respectful for the next set of candidates that are coming up to the stage. As we take our seats and be respectful for the next candidates that are coming to the stage. Thank y'all so much for being respectful to the next set that is coming to the stage, our mayors, candidates that are running for mayor.
Still got some more, y'all. We still got some more running. We still got the mayoral race, y'all.
Everyone, if we can get everyone to take their seat, we're gonna get started in about another 60 seconds.
All right. Woo! Let's get started. Yeah. We're gonna ask that you grab your seats, so we're ready for the next segment coming up.
Thank you. If everybody can come back to their seat, please.
Let's go ahead and get started.
All right, we're gonna get started in about another 30 seconds. If everyone can take their seat, please.
Okay,
Also, please, everyone, can I have your attention? The Doc Bookstore has been gracious to open their doors for us. Before you leave, if everyone can make a purchase from the Doc Bookstore before you leave.
A purchase or a donation, either or.
A purchase or a donation before you leave, please.
We don't even care if it's $5. Please make a donation to the Doc Bookstore.
Thank you. As everybody come to their seat. I'm sorry. If everybody come to this, I have some major announcements of people that are coming to this area. So if everybody can make their way to their seats, and I will share some of that. We got some major people that are just coming to this area. They understand what's going on in this area, and they appreciate what Doc is doing nationally. We sit on the board for the American Booksellers Association. So there's a lot of things that are coming into the Fort Worth area that we've lobbied for. So if everybody can come and take their seats so I can. Do you have everybody you think? All right.
If everyone in the back, if you could, come take your seats, please. We're gonna go ahead and get started with the mayor forum.
If you're not in the front purchasing and or making a donation to the Doc Bookstore, we're gonna ask that you be mindful and respectful of the next set of candidates that are sitting on the stage. Please either be mindful to be quiet and or come to your seats so that we can go ahead and get this information out. It's important that we know why they're running for the situations or the positions that they're running for. So we don't want anyone walking out here saying they did not know when these people have taken time out their schedules to come out and tell you what you do not know and or what you're looking to find out. Please. Thank you so much. And Tina, actually, I'm away from my announcement. It's regarding Malcolm X Centennial Celebration and who's coming in for his birthday. I'm going to actually make that at the end, okay?
That'll work.
So I hope everybody can stick around because I do want to make that announcement towards the end. And this is a lot of stuff that the Doc Bookshop is doing in collaboration with the African American Reading Council. Absolutely. Did y'all hear what she said? Reading. Reading is fundamental. So as we get started, either you make it into your seat or you make it into the exit, either or, it's okay with us. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you. Let's go, candidates. So we're going to give each one of y'all 2 minutes to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running. These two young men will actually be your moderators.
All right, 2 minutes introduced. Who would like to go first? Josh, go ahead, get started.
Good evening. My name is Josh Lucas. I was born and raised here right in Fort Worth, and I'm running to be the next mayor. I work at Broadway Baptist Church as the community ministries coordinator, so I work with homeless every day. I just came from an event we have at our church every Thursday night where we have a dinner for our unhoused neighbors in our community. I'm a student at Bright Divinity School studying my master's in divinity. I am on the board of the Justice Network of Tarrant County. It's a county-wide organization that's a 501c4. We've been taking on issues at the county level. Before that, I was the co-chair of the Jail and Criminal Justice Reform Action Team. But yeah, I was born and raised right here in Fort Worth. raised by a single mom who's a public educator. I went to public schools, graduated from North Crowley High School. There's some other North Crowley alums in the building somewhere in 2010. And I'm running because I believe Fort Worth is a world-class city, but we lack some of our leadership is not world-class leaders. And so I believe that Fort Worth should be a city where everyone can have a real job and make a real income and drive on decent streets. And we should be able to have housing that's affordable for everyone. We should be able to get a world-class education. So if I become the next mayor, I'm going to advocate for youth programs that double as diversion programs for our youth, because every dollar that we spend on our youth, we save $6 down the road. I also believe in having an extremely robust diversion program for the mentally vulnerable and those with addictive tendencies, as well as the people who are IDD. They should not be languishing in our jails and dying. That's a stain on our community. Some may say that's a county issue, but those deaths that we keep hearing about are happening 7 blocks from our city hall. You can see them. Why are we spending $250 million on a new city hall while we have people dying of thirst in our jails? That's a crime against humanity. And I also believe in infrastructure. And so if you'll notice, there's a theme in our city, and there's certain districts that get less funding than others, whether it's youth programs, whether it's the streets. And so if I'm elected as the next mayor, I will work to see that every aspect of our city is addressed, not just certain zip codes that are connected to the people who are in power. Again, my name is Josh Lucas, and I'm running to be the next mayor of Fort Worth.
Well, my name is Allison Kennedy, and I'm the Socialist Workers Party candidate for mayor of Fort Worth. I know this is a nonpartisan race, but everybody has a party, and my party is the Socialist Workers Party. It's not the Democrats and the Republicans. In fact, we think that working people have to break completely from the Democratic and Republican parties and capitalist parties. It's no way forward for us. We're living in times when the world was shaken by 2 events. The first was Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, which is still going on today. Even though Putin claims he's going to do a 30-day ceasefire, he's still bombing Kiev. He's still bombing parts of Ukraine. The other earth-shaking event was the October 7th pogrom against Israel. My campaign defends the sovereignty of Ukraine, and we defend Israel's right to exist. Israel must defeat Hamas to prevent more pogroms, and they must destroy the Iranian regime's capacity to build nuclear weapons. That's why things are so dangerous in the world today. You know, I do a lot of campaigning, talking to working people, door to door, going to pickup lines, everywhere where working people are, shopping centers. And working people are genuinely concerned about the future, the immediate future and the future for their children. They're concerned about the possibility of another war, expanding wars, another World War III. You might think, well, what's this got to do with Fort Worth? Well, it's got everything to do with Fort Worth. These are very important questions that are facing working people, because what's happening in the world, you see these trade wars going on now, very serious. A real sign that we're heading towards very serious times in the world, because trade wars end up becoming shooting wars, because the capitalist rulers froth at the mouth to get markets and raw materials. They will do anything to do this. They will go to war to protect their interests, and they will betray other countries, as I believe the United States is betraying Ukraine today, not just Trump, but also Biden. They never supported Ukraine's sovereignty, and they've never totally supported Israel's right to exist as a haven for Jews. So we're running on these questions. We're running.
Ma'am, time. We got to go to the next candidate.
Hello, my name is Mr. Woods, Millennium Anton Christopher Woods, Jr. I was born in Fort Worth, Texas. Graduated from Polytechnic High School in 2018. Thank you. What I'm trying to bring to the table here is a civil rights movement, a new civil rights movement, right? It's time for the United States government to be audited, right? And one of the biggest audits of the United States federal government was demonstrated August 28, 1963, March in Washington, right? And it's gonna take everybody in the whole community to gather together, right, to come back and promote this audit on the federal government. Because the monopolies that's inside the country are taken away from the people, especially the mouths of our children. We've seen this before. We've seen this with the Department of Education being dismantled. We've seen this with the things that are happening on the federal level and trickling down on the city and the municipal level, right? What I'm bringing to the table is a new civil rights movement. If you all want to join me, I'm here for you. My name is William Anton Woods, and I approve this message.
All right, thank you, everybody. For these questions, we're going to give each candidate 1 minute to answer. If you reach time, you'll be notified that your time has run out. For our first question, we have one of the fundamental problems in Black and brown communities is redlining and pollution. The question is the removal of single-family homes to put in duplexes and other properties take away from Black and brown home ownership. What is your solution as mayor of Fort Worth?
My solution on the housing issue that we are facing in this country and in the city is we all have to go back and teach our children tradition, right? Because tradition is being lost in social norms, right? My grandparents raised me to think and believe that you need to own a house, right? You should own property, right? None of this is being taught in our generation. And so we see a lot of things that's going on with people not being able to afford certain mortgages and all these other things, which is causing us Black people not to be able to afford these houses or even afford to put down payments on something, to own something later on for the next generation and passing it down. And that's one of the biggest issues that I think that we should be addressing.
You know, I'm running in this election, and other candidates of the Socialist Workers Party are running throughout the country because we believe we need to build a party for workers to take power. And right now, that's the Socialist Workers Party. And if you think that this is something we need to do, then you should check out our party. You should check out the Militant newspaper and Pathfinder books. We publish all of the actual speeches of Malcolm X. And Malcolm X, when he lived, he talked about the need for working people, especially Black workers, to break from the Democrats and Republicans. He called them the Tweedledee and the Tweedledum. He talked about what was really causing the problems in this society, which is capitalism. And that's what we have to change. And we can only change it if we get a different class in power. The class in power is now the capitalists, whether it's in the city or the federal government. And that's what we have to change if we're going to solve problems like homelessness, if we're going to solve problems like high rents. You can't even afford to buy a house in this community, let alone rent an apartment.
Hello, my name is Josh Lucas. I'm running to be the next mayor of Fort Worth. I think the question was about home ownership and duplexes and renting.
So the question is, one of the fundamental problems in Black and brown communities is redlining and pollution. The removal of single-family homes to put in duplexes and other properties take away from Black and brown home ownership. What is your solution?
Yeah, so that sounds like a zoning issue. I think with the pollution, we can address that. As far as the home ownership, the market right now, I mean, I can't buy a house in this market. I'm a renter, and I think we need to look at having strong incentives for creative ways for people to get into home ownership. I believe in deeply supportive housing, and so there's probably something we can do that's really creative, maybe rent to buy in that market. So.
To expand on the environmental issues, how will you commit to environmental justice? We have communities like in District 8 where we have an immense amount of large trucking facilities and fracking and things that impact air quality. Will you commit to environmental justice, and what are your solutions towards that?
Yeah, I'm deeply committed to environmental justice. I have a strong influence. My dad, I grew up here in Fort Worth, but my dad lived in Northern California. And so I'm really strongly an advocate for environmental issues. We're way far behind in Texas on a lot of those things. I'm sure there's some zoning that we could look at changing so that the trucking isn't as as much as a big presence in this area, and that's what I would look at to do as mayor.
These environmental questions are a big problem in Dallas-Fort Worth with the number of fracking wells that exist in this area. They just had a fight in Arlington. They protested at the city council meeting, which I attended. And city council voted to put 11 fracking wells right behind a daycare center. I mean, it's just typical of what these governments do. They do not do things to protect the interests of working people, and that's what that's why we've got to have a fundamental class change in this society to really begin to deal with these questions. They're never going to deal with pollution. The green energy is not dealing with pollution. Who can afford to buy an electric car? I mean, but seriously, these are deep problems in this society. Who really, a big controller of the state of Texas is the oil and gas industry. Probably one of the biggest polluters in this state. So these are very serious questions that we need to discuss and need to figure out how we're going to build a kind of powerful movement to really change these things.
So my thing is, my guidebook is history, right? History shows itself, and if you pay attention to the times of history, some of these problems have already been solved. Now, it's lost in tradition, right? And it ends up turning into a social norm. It's how the monopolies end up back into our government. After Roosevelt, we put in anti-monopoly laws and things like that to prevent big businesses and from invading and taking away from the regular people. Now, your issue with the environmental, all that has to do with big corporations, right? If we put enough people and enough time and effort into the things that we need in order to... Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next question is, how will you stand with immigrant communities in Fort Worth through action, policy, and resources?
I think I was actually at a protest recently with the Democratic Party where I stood with people that were saying not to break families apart, particularly with the immigration issue. So I am there in solidarity in these protests already. I think one of the police chiefs or second down the line came to LULAC and spoke about the policies that they have. I think we need to look carefully at the policies that are in place and make sure that we're aware of these policies and what they're by law required to do and not do. I think in Dallas, they came out and said that no one can be stopped under suspicion of being undocumented. And so I think we need to continue to hold our police accountable to their policies. And in the future, I belong to a church that recently filed in federal court and successfully won a suit that there should not be anyone coming from ICE into houses of worship. That was the Baptists. And so that's my heritage.
I support amnesty. I think we need to fight for amnesty for any worker that lives and works in the United States that's undocumented. It's a crucial question for the labor movement in this country, especially. I worked at a coal mine that was majority Mexican in the state of Utah. We tried to organize the United Mine Workers, which we won. We won the right to vote for the union. We all voted for the union. The labor board never counted the votes. You know why? Because the majority of workers were undocumented. They were getting paid $5.35 an hour to work in this coal mine. So amnesty is a critical question to build unity among working people. The bosses use immigrant labor to drive our wages down. That's the main reason. They're not, Trump's saying he's going to do mass deportations, but you got to think about it. they can't go too far with this because they're going to get a reaction from working people who will stand up and fight against this.
Time.
And they have to have the cheap labor. So I support fighting for amnesty.
I think this is more of a moral issue. I know, like I said, history is my playbook, and this happened before, right? And I'm pretty sure you all are not blind, just like I am, not blind too as well. Slavery, when they were going to the north, right, to seeking sanctuary, right, from things that they had no control over because their government was corrupt just as well. You see what I'm saying? So everybody's coming in to our country because they're trying to seek what we promised our own people too as well, right? Liberty, right? The Statue of Liberty shows the foundation of what the ideology of what America wanted us to be like. And by denying the very thing that our country is standing on and the principles in the first place will cause us to be a liar. You see what I'm saying? And me personally, since I'm very patriotic and I call myself an American, I don't want to be called a liar. So I'm here to fix this issue.
All right, our next question is around Citizens Review Board, and really what the community wants is an independent community review board with subpoena power. Currently, we have Office of Police Monitor. We don't have a Citizens Review Board. Do you agree with this independent community, review board with subpoena power? And what are your thoughts on it?
The people should always have a say-so in the government, and the people should always have a voice and the power to operate what was given to them, granted by the United States Constitution. You see what I'm saying? And so if a board is needed to make sure that an audit on the city level could happen, right, for the rest of the people, if we're not answering y'all questions, we're not answering what y'all need done in the community, right? The people should have a voice to say, hey, I want you gone because I voted you in to get this position done. This position was not done. This job was not done. So now you're just wasting time. We're sitting here wasting time and not actually attacking the core problem of the issues.
Well, I believe the citizen review boards is a reform, and it does nothing to deal with the questions of police brutality. The way police brutality is dealt with in the United States is when people protest police brutality. And we have seen a lot of protests that have pushed these police back. But the question is, how do you deal with this question, which is a part and parcel of what the police are for. They're there to protect private property. They're there to keep working people in their place. Make us think we're worthless. We're not worth anything. And that's why they use violence. There's been a lot of protests in Fort Worth against the brutality that's going on in the Tarrant County jails. That's very, very important. And whenever we hear about those protests, we need to show up. That's how you can push the cops back. You can't totally change it, but you can push them back.
I do 100% support the independent review board. I think right now more than ever, as our country is drifting towards, dare I say, sort of a police nation, totalitarian state, oversight is more important than ever. Our city has the highest funded police force, I think, in the nation. That is my understanding. And there's no reason why we shouldn't have a police review board. I believe the FBI did an independent study and showed that Fort Worth faces systemic racism at a very high rate, and that was what initiated this talk, I think. And as your mayor, I would totally vote for it.
Okay, what are your plans as mayor to address the issues around sex trafficking and human trafficking?
Yeah, that's a really, really challenging issue. I think again, we have the most well-funded police force in any city in the nation, and we can't defund the police here. It's a state law, and so to me it's a tragedy that these events are still going on, and so I think we need robust programs that will support our youth. And someone mentioned literacy. I think it's more than literacy. I think that there's a level of competency in life that we need to achieve with our youth that they're not receiving these days, that makes them easy targets. And then we also need to look into why, with the most funded police force, these crimes continue to happen where they're happening at. I think there's an issue there too.
You know, I'm not for defunding the police either. The Socialist Workers Party doesn't agree with that. We're not part of the left. The Socialist Workers Party is a working class party, and our traditions go back to the labor battles in the 30s, go back to the Russian Revolution. Our continuity is with the Russian Revolution, with the Cuban Revolution. And defunding the police is not, we live in a capitalist society that's a very brutal, violent society that creates things like sex trafficking and other social problems. So how are you going to deal with those questions? Do you just totally get rid of the police? I don't think that's possible. Working people have to have the police to call on. But at the same time, you fight the police brutality, and at the same time, you build the kind of party like the Socialist Workers Party that can take power. And that's how you're really going to change these things. If we take power, the working class comes to power, you could put committees of honest working people together to deal with these social problems and other social ills of capitalist society.
Education and I think people and morals. Education needs to be put in place for everybody could understand what's really going on when it comes down to in their community. Right? Knowing the signs of sex trafficking and all of these different things, knowing the telltale signs of these things could help prevent most of this stuff from happening. But it comes down to teaching our generations under us from moving into these things in the first place, and getting influenced into being recruited into these positions where they're taking kids and doing things and stuff like that. Now, I don't believe in defunding the police. We need order, right? But I do believe it comes down to what are we enforcing, right? This is what it comes down to, is what we are enforcing, what's being prioritized.
This is going to actually, you're kind of led into this next question. So as a city, we need to address youth violence. One of the mechanisms of the city is the CCPD fund, which in 2025 had an estimated budget of $135 million. What are your plans to address youth violence, and how can CCPD funds be used to not just pay for more policing, but to actually serve the needs of the community that help reduce youth violence?
Now, I think the major thing when it comes down to our youth is they have a lot of time on their hand, and not enough fathers in the household to tell them how to utilize that time. When I was growing up in my neighborhood, my grandmother pushed me out there with my uncle and to go cut yards and go do handyman work, right? And taught me a lot of skilled labor. And I didn't have time to go out with my friends, go do the stuff that they were doing, right? Because I was working, I was putting in time to work, and passing down these traditions of working and all these different things that help bring our youth from more of the rap music and more of the things, and try to show them more moral than anything.
I think youth violence is part and parcel of the problems we face in this society. When you think we live in a society where a lot of young people stay living in their their mother or father's house or apartment until they're in their 30s or sometimes even longer, because you can't afford to rent. You can't afford to buy a house. The jobs are so low pay. I was surprised when somebody said the minimum wage in Fort Worth was $18 an hour. I tell you, a lot of people do not make $18 an hour in this city. I work with coworkers. I work at Sky Chef, Ellis. In this country that really deeply affects working class families, and
Time.
it tears the families apart. And those are the questions we have to deal with by creating
Time,
a completely
ma'am.
different society.
Yeah, so there's a program in Oakland. Oakland had a lot of trouble with gun violence, and it's called Ceasefire, where they create brave spaces within the faith community, and they partner with job training and mentorship. And I think we could look at using some of that money for that. We need strong male role models and female role models. But growing up in a single household as a young man, I understand what it's like to not have a father figure in the house. And so I would like to see us have robust youth programs that give opportunities, the same kind of opportunities that I had in Southwest Fort Worth, going to North Crowley, you know, singing at the all-state choir level and going on trips and debate and in theater and all these opportunities that I had. We need to make sure that those are aware to our youth and that they're available and that they're involved in these programs to give them another opportunity. And I think Ceasefire out of Oakland is a great proof of concept that this can be done.
Okay, this final question, you'll have 30 seconds, and then we'll be transitioning to the Fort Worth ISD school board candidates. What would you consider is the biggest failure of the current mayor and city council, and why?
Well, I think the biggest failure is that when push came to shove, we were not able to pass the police oversight board. I think that was a failure. And also, I think one of our failures is that we're too ready to kowtow to right-wing extremism that's encroaching, dripping down from the county level into our city council. And as your next mayor, I will not, give way to this right-wing extremism that's coming down from the county levels.
You know, I don't see politics in terms of right versus left or, right extremists versus left extremists. It's class against class, and that's the biggest failure of the city council and will always be. It will never represent the working class in Fort Worth, never. It's impossible. It represents the wealthy, the upper middle class layers in this society. That's what we have to change. And that's true of every government, state government, federal government, you name it. I just want to encourage people on March the 23rd.
Time.
The letter carriers are having a rally.
Ma'am, you can
Encourage you to
share
go.
that with folks, or they can go to your Facebook page. What would you consider as the biggest failure of the current mayor and city council, and why?
The biggest failure to me, I don't think that there isn't until the civil rights movement is put in place in front of them. I don't think that nobody knows anything about how big of an event that was back then in order to put checks and balances back into our government, right? And I would like more of our city councilmen and currently, or if I get the vision, or anybody else get the vision, I want this to be pushed. I want this to be moved forward. This civil rights movement, a new civil rights movement, new audit on the government.
I want to thank our mayoral candidates that came today. And we are going to transition to our Fort Worth ISD school board candidates. Okay, we ask if folks are still here to stay seated, and if you have an opportunity, please do one of the two, either buy something from the Doc Bookshop or make a donation. It can be as small as $5, but we want to support the Doc Bookshop. because they have space like this for community to have key conversations and to bring folks together.
Also, we want to acknowledge Brother Lee. He's sitting over, he's actually running for city council in Forest Hill. We want to thank him for come here for a second. We want to thank him for coming over to actually support what's going on in Fort Worth as it relates to all communities and cities. We need to work together to create and correct the situations that we have. We're going to give you a minute to speak, if you don't mind.
Blessings to all. Yeah, I'm running for City Council in Fort Worth, and I believe in literacy, parent engagement, gun control, to handle gun violence, and infrastructure, traffic control. Vote Melvin Lee, City Council. If you got some friends, just tell them about it. Good man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, let's give a warm welcome to our Fourth IC School Board candidates. Oh, come on. I know we've been here a long time, but let's give them a round of applause. All right. All right, so we're going to give each of the candidates 2 minutes to introduce yourself and tell the community why you're running. Roxanne, you want to go and start?
Sure. My name is Roxanne Martinez. I am the incumbent for District 9. My area pretty much covers the high schools of Diamond Hill, Jarvis, Carter, Riverside, YWA, goes a little bit into the south side. I am a product of Fort Worth ISD. I'm a parent of students in Fort Worth ISD. I ran first back in 2021 as we were coming out of the pandemic because students asked me to. I was involved with PTA, led booster clubs, served on site-based decision-making committees, and it was in 2019 that students that I had been working with asked me to run. They wanted representation, and I've been working with students in Fort Worth ISD for over 2 decades. Now a parent of students in Fort Worth ISD. As a product of Fort Worth ISD, I saw inequities then. I still see some today. We have a lot of work to do, and as you know, we just recently passed the literacy resolution. We have a lot of work to do there. My kids attend their neighborhood schools. I'm fully aware of the issues that we're facing, and the attack on public education. And so as a mom, as a business owner, as a nonprofit leader, serving youth in North Fort Worth, I am student-centered. Also want to create an environment where not only students are proud to attend Fort Worth ISD, but our staff is proud to work for Fort Worth ISD. So with that, I am running for re-election for District 9.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Aine. I was proud and honored and humbled to be 2023 District Fort Worth ISD District Teacher of the Year. Within that, under the leadership of a very toxic superintendent, I did leave the district. But I also left so that I could run for school board, so that I could make a difference in many children's lives in our city. I am thankful to have my husband here, who supports me tirelessly, endlessly, and my kids. So I am running because I want to see literacy in every student. I want to see superintendent accountability. I also want to ensure that our educators are happy and feel like they are quality and appreciated in our district. As an educator myself, I am very proud to say that the United Educator Association endorsed me unanimously this 2 weeks ago. And I'm here to serve our kids and our teachers and ensure that our district moves forward in a positive way.
Good evening. I know this has been a long night, so I'm gonna make it short and sweet. My name is Robin Kelly, and I'm running against Roxanne in District 9. I'm a product of Cowtown, Texas. I'm a product of Fort Worth ISD. I'm running because I believe in public education. I'm running because I believe that we should fix what we already have. And I'm running because I believe in the future of all children. The legacy of education in my family is deep. My mother is a 50-year Fort Worth ISD music teacher, Jewel Blanton Kelly. My aunt, Dorothy Blanton Taylor, was one of the first Black teachers in Carter Riverside High School. My other aunt, when I attended Oakhurst Elementary, was my teacher there. So I believe in education. I believe in public education. I believe in free, good product. And we don't have it right now. And you know what? We might be, it's not the best of times when it comes to education in Fort Worth ISD. And as a matter of fact, we might be on the precipice of actually the worst of times as far as education is in Fort Worth ISD. But right now it's my time. It's my time to step up for the fight for good education in Fort Worth ISD.
Thank you. I'm going to use my teacher voice because I go back quite a ways teaching, back to 1996, in fact. I started with Fort Worth ISD as a substitute. I started as a full-time teacher in 1999, and I worked 5 years at Paschal, a couple years at Heights, so I'm both sides of the rivalry. I'm proud of my education, my work in education, Fort Worth ISD, but I'm going to echo that remark by my colleague here at the table, that I'm very concerned about the direction of Fort Worth ISD. And I was thinking when I come up here, I'm going to sound like a radical and agitator. And I am in company of us. I've heard a lot of radical and agitators. So, and I'm glad to hear that. And I think we hear about people whose vision goes beyond just their own area. Somebody said, I'm not just about my district. And I'm certainly not about my district. I'm the only one here from District 7. I grew up in District 7. I'm about all of Fort Worth ISD, and beyond that, I want to echo and applaud those who talk about issues of justice with the jail and with our police. I also, I'm politically a moderate. I'll share that. You know, it's not right now to share all my politics, but I'm there in the middle. I think defund the police is a bad idea. Who's going to say that? But I think we need major reform there. And I've been on the outside for 6 years with Fort Worth ISD because I personally experienced things that were disturbing to me, and I think they should be disturbing to everyone. Attendance fraud at Fort Worth ISD. No one on the board, when I hear that you're aware of the issues, no one on the board will meet with me. No, I'm a persona non grata there. No one has acknowledged the attendance fraud that went on. No one has acknowledged the continued law breaking at Fort Worth ISD. And it's not something I'm making up. The TEA investigated Fort Worth ISD. Will you confirm, Ms. Martinez, that there was attendance fraud in an investigation by the TEA? It happened. It's not that it didn't happen. It's not my opinion. It's factual. I can provide you the documentation this evening. I was asked as a teacher, mark them present. If you see them, they don't need to be in class.
All right, our first question is the hot topic that is throughout communities in Fort Worth and students and families connected to Fort Worth ISD, which is the process of which schools are being determined to stay open. What are your thoughts on this process, and what are some of the solutions that you would like to see happen as a part of the school board? You'll have 1 minute to answer this question, and we'll start in the opposite end this time. So, sir, we'll start with you.
You know, Fort Worth ISD, I was at their meeting at Benbrook Middle High School, and they said one of the reasons we're losing students that our attendance has been dropping, which, by the way, it's been dropping for many years. Superintendent Scribner continued to, I'm not going to mince words, he lied to the public about it. He continued to cite a figure 86,000 students when it was down around 80,000. I called him out on that. But they're saying it's birth rates. Well, birth rates have been going down since 2012 or so, but just 5 years ago, we were hearing about this growth, that we need $750 million bond package. Birth rates have been going down. That is part of the reason we have to make some tough decisions. But we need honest, straight talk about that. And the real reason that we're not getting, that students are leaving Fort Worth ISD is because the product there, and I don't like to use the word product with education, but because we're not putting out the absolute best. And we do that when we focus on what's happening in the classroom and not data all the time. We do that when we support our teachers,
Time.
not.
Okay, my thoughts about that when I was asked that with the Fort Worth Star Telegram, I said the first thing I do is really listen. And it sounds very simple, but I want you to understand that I will listen and hear. A lot of times people say they're listening, and then they're going to decide to do what they want to do. This is very emotional, especially for those of us who were raised in these schools are our history. That's our oral history. That's our DNA. So it's touchy. I've seen glimpses of things that are happening as far as what the Fort Worth ISD, the school board is doing to navigate that. So I'm going to really listen to the community. And I'm going to see the only way I can really address what's really involved, the budget, et cetera, and the real reasons that these schools will be closed is that I have to be there. I have to be in the room. But make sure, I want you to know that as I listen to you, whether or not you want something closed, I'm going to listen with your child
Time.
in mind.
Thank you. This is a very touching subject for me as well. So as a parent in Fort Worth ISD, my oldest son is a sophomore at Northside High School. My freshman attends YMLA, Young Men's Leadership Academy, right up the street here. And my community is going to be affected greatly by this. I think it's very important while we're making these decisions. Yes, budget is important. Yes, lack of attendance is important. All of those things are important. But again, it's listening to the voice of the people of the community. It's also being transparent with them and allowing them, the best way I can put it is quit doing stuff to the community and do stuff with the community. And I think that they need to have a voice and to be heard. I think the presentations lately have been way better than they were in the fall at first, or last spring, fall and spring. But again, it's so important to do stuff with the community and not to the community when we make these decisions.
When I first ran for school board in 2021, my intention was never to close schools. I mean, that's not why I ran them. My kids attend their neighborhood school. But fast forward where we are now, there are many reasons that we have declining enrollment. And as somebody else stated, numbers have been declining for well over a decade. And I've learned about that as I've been a trustee. Various reasons, and some of them were mentioned even in the previous panel with City Council. But we are where we are. We have to make tough decisions. When I was a student in Fort Worth ISD, we didn't have AP courses or SAT prep courses in my campus. I had to be bused across Path School to go to take those courses. There are still some schools right now where students are lacking opportunities. So I think we have to listen in the listening sessions that we're doing with the community. We have to look at data. We have to look at budget. We have to look at everything, but we have to do what's best for students. My students go to neighborhood school. I hear when their AC is not working, their heat's not working. We have aging facilities that we also have to address. So there's a lot of things that go into this, but listening to the community first and foremost.
Right, so this next question kind of touches a little bit on what you talked about, Trustee Martinez, which is what is the plan if you're reelected or elected on the school board to address the school bus system? Kids are constantly arriving late. What are the solutions that you as a board member will pursue?
So as a trustee, my job, my main job is we only hold one person accountable, and that's the superintendent. We don't get in daily operations of the district. But what we can do is hold her accountable to when kids lose instructional time, and that is due to transportation, and that is happening. That has been happening. So one thing is that our new superintendent has already made a new hire in transportation, and we're already seeing some improvements. There are some technology that we're going to be able to implement real soon that will be able to track more where your child is on their bus route. Also, I know our new superintendent is big on partnerships. That's something that I've been thinking about for years, is like, why are we not partnering with the city bus systems? There are some that I see buses pass with no people in them. we could be partnering with our own city transportation. We need other options. We have to come up with more creative solutions because we also know that there's a lack of bus drivers, and we have to, again, make Fort ISD be an employer that people want to work at.
I am so glad you asked that question. As a matter of fact, yesterday my son arrived about an hour and a half late home. He is actually late 2 to 3 times a week, and this is his first period at Young Men's Leadership Academy. He has actually spoken at the board and advocated for himself, as well as me advocating at the meetings as well. I think it does go back again for us as board members to hold the superintendent accountable, which is a huge part of what propelled me to run for this position. And also, make sure that we're valuing our employees and treating them well. That seemed to be a huge thing. I listened to several bus drivers and dispatchers as well. They contact me often. And it's very important that you value people and that you create a space and a workspace where they feel safe, comfortable, valued, and are paid well. So it's definitely a partnership that we have to form with the superintendent to ensure these things happen and get better.
My take on it would be, first of all, there should be an audit involved with transportation through the superintendent. That way you can itemize exactly what's going on, what the problem is. And then we can start looking at solutions, whatever they may be, whether it's partnership. I don't know what other assessments, but the first thing is that let's really find out what the problem is so we can address that and get a good answer. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understand.
I forgot teacher voice.
Y'all ever see Groundhog Day, where they're just going toward go over the cliff, like Fort ISD, unfortunately, on the precipice? They don't drive angry. My wife would say, don't get up there and seem angry. And I apologize. I'm intense. I know I can be. I was an athlete. We're going to win. But we should be a little angry. And Trustee Martinez is right to say one of their main responsibilities is to hold the superintendent accountable. Ask her and every incumbent, everybody on that board, where can we see you during meetings getting a little bit angry about things like the bus system that should never happen? Who's being held accountable for this? That's basics. So who's being held accountable when we're sending our last 2 superintendents packing with deals $500,000 or so? Okay. Everyone should be held accountable for hiring Dr. Ramsey. Who's read her dissertation? Did you read her dissertation? You call that rigor? That is a degree mill that she got it from. She had no experience of that would make her worthy for Fort Worth ISD. Bad hire.
Okay, our next question is around systemic racism. We've had public incidents of racism happen. One especially noted with the Northside High School. After 2 investigations, no accountability was able to be held. And then also, Wanda McKinney, a local community advocate, did research on the distribution of ESSER funds, a 2-year project, and filed a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights last year. And that can be found in Fort Worth Star Telegram and other publications to get details on that showed systemic racism with how funds were allocated to campuses when you look at campuses with predominantly Black and brown students versus white students who are predominantly campuses. So the question is, how are you going to address the continued issue of systemic racism within Fort Worth ISD, and what are your solutions around that? You went last one?
I did, yes.
Robert, we'll start with you this time, and then we'll go to
You really start with me right when I was writing down my. You saw that, didn't you?
No.
Let me say this. We all know that systemic racism exists. And that's the first thing, we'd acknowledge it. Sometimes people, I don't see color, or we don't have that problem. No, we have that problem. That problem existed even when I was in school, and even before then. So it might be a task force, I'm not sure, but let me say this. It's a problem, and I'm not scared to talk about it. Whatever the elephant is in the room, in reference to systemic racism, I will address it. It will come up in board meetings. I will have communication with community. and you tell me what's going on. It was absolutely horrible what happened at Northside. But let me tell you something. As a cheerleader at Pasco High School in I graduated in 85, so 83 when I was a JV cheerleader. I went to Southwest High School. And do you know what someone called me the N-word? I was absolutely, that was back in the day. I was absolutely floored that happened then. And we're still having that issue? Oh yeah, it's a problem. And we're gonna address it.
So yesterday, Alex and I sat in a room in which our cheerleaders at Northside High School received the report of the findings. And I watched as girls who are like daughters to me, or they call me Aunt Amanda, had tears coming down their face. And I'm trying not to get emotional, but and I was there the night that happened, and they told me about it, and this can't happen. And I am very well aware of systemic racism. My first years in Fort Worth ISD, I taught at AM Pate right up the street right here for 3 years, where 6 trash cans collected water for a year and a half from the roof of my classroom as a kindergarten teacher. In the north side, a lot of resources are not there for us. So I'm very, very aware of that in our city. And I am definitely, as a board member, going to pay attention to that and ensure that the resources go where they need to go and align to where they need to go to make sure that our students have what they need. They feel safe, they feel loved, and they feel accepted. And hold, again, accountable the people who are not ensuring that to happen.
I think it's very obvious if you just look at our student outcomes that there's systemic racism in our district. Never going to deny that. Again, my kids are part of the district. I was a student in the district. It happened, like, as Robin said, it happened back then, still happens, still exists today. One of the things after the Northside cheerleader incident happened is we do have a racial equity committee. We policy, and we know that because we didn't get the outcome we wanted in the investigation, that our policy is not strong enough. Our policy needs to be revisited. We need to look at that, and then the resource allocation is a huge part. And I'm very happy to hear that the superintendent is doing something about resource allocation. Now that she has the power, she is reallocating funds to those students who need them most, and you'll see that in the next budget cycle.
I hope we see it in the next budget cycle, but I'll tell you what I've seen with Fort Worth ISD. And I've worked at every single traditional middle and high school because I substituted for about 7 years in addition to my full-time teaching. In 2019, at the end of the 2018-2019, the lowest ranked school in all 142 or 143 campuses was William James Middle School. You would think that, and they had a principal who was outgoing. You would think they would have brought in the best principal, somebody with experience, somebody who could right that ship. Ask anyone at Fort Worth ISD, because don't take my word for it. Ask them who was principal the next year. They didn't have one. They had a revolving door. They finally got one in the spring, I think around March. But they had a revolving door of people from downtown who were walking through the halls a bit doing it. And I was in those halls because I exercised my right as a citizen to find out, to put my eyes on it. That's what's happening in Fort Worth ISD. A lot of window dressing, but where does the buck stop? Who is responsible for not putting the best person? And maybe DEI, who's against it? But maybe we can say, well, hiring shouldn't be based on racial quotas or anything like that. But we need to address the facilities imbalance.
Okay, one question from the community is, how many of you as candidates in your campaigns are receiving PAC money? And what is the return of you receiving PAC money? We go down.
I'll start. I've got the easiest answer to that one there is. I'm not receiving or spending any money. And I'll tell you the reason why is because I don't expect to win. I'm aware, I'm a realist. Sure, I'm the protest candidate. I'm taking advantage of being down here to spread the word because I do care about Fort Worth ISD. And in my life, I've been a protester. I've gotten arrested for protesting. Martin Luther King got arrested 29 times. I'm proud. They found me not guilty, by the way. Sure, I can be a thorn in the side of people, but I do care about this.
I'm gonna jump. So somebody else go before me.
I'm happy to go. Yeah, I'm happy to go. I have received no PAC money. It didn't the first time. And matter of fact, of my first campaign, I was out fundraised by both opponents, and I still won. I won that race because I listened to people, knocked on doors one by one. I plan to do the same thing this time, and don't have a need for PAC money. I'm going to rely on the community that trusts me, believes in me, and supports me.
Thank you for that question. As a huge proponent of literacy in our city and wanting to fight for our children, and the fact that I am a school teacher who doesn't make a whole lot of money, as you probably know, my husband and I did lay down the first $1,000 to get started on printing materials. I have accepted money from people in the community who support literacy and want to ensure that there's a person in the seat that will ensure that for children. So yes, I have accepted money.
I am a grassroots effort. I really am. So I raised, honestly, today, maybe $259. Family, friends, and community. This is just important to me. And I'll do what I need to do to let you know. And I know how to knock on doors. That's what I've been doing. I've been sending out things. I'm in the community. Oh, and by the way, I do want to stress that District 9 does include Riverside, because I am from the Riverside. And I know it's Diamond Hill all the way through. I'm a Riverside girl, so I wanted to say that as well. But from my immediate community, my mother and family and friends. Oh, and I'm a retired flight attendant. So they're retired really young, so you know that pension is not very big. And I'm a current substitute teacher. So yeah, the funds are limited. So it's a grassroots effort, and through community, we are the voice. We make the difference.
All right, let's give a round of applause to our Fort Worth ISD School Board candidates. And thank you everybody who was able to stay through this forum.
Yes, thank you for staying.
Huh?
I was like, oh, that's it.
There were other questions. You will receive an email. We're past our time.
Yeah,
I got you.
Let's give a round of applause to the Doc Bookshop. And once again, we're making a request. If you're here before you leave, please make a purchase or donate. It can be as little as $5. We need the Doc Bookshop to stay open. We need the space for community, and we want to help continue to support this space being available and all of the resources that they have for community. Thank you, everybody.
Well, I hope they're doing well today. We all make mistakes, so you guys come over again.
Yeah, go ahead and shut it down. The little boy just playing in front of it.
Dot Workshop, Facebook.
Okay, for sure.
Thanks for making it up.
No, thanks for recording.